and then
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
usage.
No worries. Hey, do you mind? Do you mind just for our records? Do you mind giving me permission to record it?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, hey, buddy. Good morning, Chris.
Morning.
There you go. Is there anybody in the office at this hour? What's happening over there? Okay.
Very few, but yes.
Fair enough. All right. How would I do this? How would I do this? Okay. Did it work, Justin?
Did what work?
Oh, you hit record. Perfect. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
I hit it.
Oh, you hit it. Oh, Chris, that's yours. Never mind. All right. Sounds good. So, all right. We know I have very little updates for how you are doing besides for portfolio, and Asana showing that you got a bunch of jobs and a lot more jobs coming, I guess. And the last conversation I had with Staffy said that he had an email account with like 1,000 people that he never blasted but could. So, how can we be helpful?
So my focus right now and for the past week or so has been on like an internal discussion of hiring. So I've been kind of just polling the team and seeing how they're doing in general. And I get the sense that we're basically at our capacity for right now, at least until people start getting a little better at their roles, getting more experience, and then with the software transition on the recon team side for Spencer and Carson specifically, that will speed up the entire process. So I've been I posted a thing on LinkedIn about hiring, and I'm just going down that whole pathway of trying to find a second Hugh. I feel like that's the most critical hire right now to get somebody in there, and most importantly, to get them trained, because that's going to take a long time, especially with Hugh being basically maxed. So it's kind of like I have to find time to fill in what I know with this person, write some sort of training curriculum, which I have a loose framework for. And then my plan is to essentially have that person mirror Hugh, like with just a kind of ongoing running Zoom call to try and like see how he's tackling problems. And then once that person is stood up, it will help offload some of Hugh's workload so that he can kind of pick his head up and see how he can improve his department. I'm concerned that we're like right at the threshold if they keep coming in. So I'm just trying to get ahead of it as best I can.
At the threshold in terms of hiring and jobs?
Like if clients just keep coming in right now, and again, with effectively little to no marketing happening, we're almost overrun with work.
Mhm. Right.
So, which is great, by the way. These are all good problems. I'm just trying to context of what I'm looking at. So really trying to dial in this concept of like how we're gonna onboard the next person. And
So you're basically trying to increase
scale.
capacity. Is that right?
Yeah, that was a lot of talking to say I'm trying to increase capacity. Yes.
How is the software part of that going, or how much you think increasing capacity can that provide?
Well, it's not gonna increase any capacity because the way that we have the job structured, it's offsite and recon. So it will make recon faster, but recon's not the bottleneck as it is. So, it will make recon a lot easier, and it will help me not have to hire a second Spencer for a long time.
Okay.
So it's gonna clean up a lot of just the whole process and make the report viable, in my opinion. Whereas like right now we're totally reliant on Stothy's experience. But once we get that report, we're going to be able to have like a checklist, essentially like black and white that we can deliver. Yep.
Did how did you end up hiring Staffy or working out with him on that, or how did that work out?
Yes, he was. I mean, I felt like he was pretty adamant about wanting some type of, compensation or recognition, maybe is even the better word for his efforts on that. So, I mean, I basically said that I will give him the systems architect funding for future jobs that we use Spectora, the software on. And I didn't give him a specific number of jobs, but we kind of agreed that it would start once we start using the software, and I'll start kind of doling out that payment to him.
But there's not a specific agreement about how much?
No, not right now. He just, once I told him that this is my plan and I want to give him that money coming, for the jobs in the future, he was, very satisfied with that answer.
Did he assume that it's going to be in perpetuity?
No. No, absolutely not. No, I definitely made it clear to him that it was just, for a few jobs, or at most it would be the rest of this year. But that's, that would be a lot.
So if you were going to do $1 million, let's say in revenue, 3.5% is that, how much is that, Chris? Is that 35,000? Did you ever ask him how much he was going to charge just to do it?
No, that wasn't really the spirit of the conversation, in my understanding. It was more like, I mean, I kind of assumed he, from the sense of the way he was discussing it, he's like, I don't need the money. It's just, I want something. And I was like, okay. So I figured I'd give him a few $1,000s, for the couple of days of work that he put in. Definitely nothing like 35 thats. That would be crazy.
Yeah. But there's just so basically what I hear you say is he's doing it, but there's not a clear agreement about how much he gets paid.
That's correct. And he, started doing it before we even had this conversation. So it was kind of,
he was going to do it no matter what.
That's right.
Okay. Sounds good. So, okay. So Chris, are you pretty clear? You got any more questions on where the state is? Okay. So how can we help if in any way?
So this is one thing I wanted to float by you guys, and I haven't built like a whole pro forma about this, but specifically related to hiring, I've been trying to rack my brain around how can we afford to hire somebody who's competent, when we have basically 100% of revenue accounted for. So I kind of like, the way I see it is, the way there's two ways I was looking at it. The first way was like I pay this person like a minimum kind of base just to cover them while they're training, and then like while they're onboarding, and then once they're fully trained up, they take a certain number of jobs that are coming in from Hugh. I would adjust their percentage to be a little bit lower because I would expect Hugh to be managing that person. So in like a department. So if, let's just say Hugh's percentage is 15, which let's see, I'm gonna use the correct number actually. It's 15.75. So I would give this new Hugh 14.75, and Hugh would get 16.75 for all future jobs that person does. Does that make sense? So like Hugh just gets a tiny little kind of bump, but it's the same percentage to the company.
So future people who are going to be doing work under Hugh would get less compensation, and Hugh would get part of that.
That's correct. And I might have just goofed up that number a little bit, but you get like, I just take a little bit off the new persons to give to Hugh just for the extra added responsibility is my thinking.
Yeah. What is
so?
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, no, it's kind of complicated. I probably should just give you guys a paper or something on this.
I get the concept.
Okay, but I mean, then like that's a way to look at it. And then I was kind of thinking, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get somebody that's capable that we can rely on, and that won't be a burden in the future
Mhm.
for, a really minimal amount of compensation like that. And I was thinking like, I would just float them $1,000 for a few jobs until they get trained up.
Mhm.
And then my personal investment would then be paid as just running the company and being able to scale. That's one way of looking at it.
Mhm.
My second idea that I came up with, which is a request, and I can put numbers around this. I was thinking that from the get-go, instead of giving them like half their pay, we pay them the full rate, essentially. And we would pull 5% off of my salary, CL's portion, and Stathi's portion to get a new person onboarded for like a very much finite amount of time.
Mhm.
And my, business case for that request or suggestion would be like, our problem right now is not sales. So it's not a marketing fund. It's like a bottleneck of capacity. So I'm thinking if we can put a little bit of money into unlocking that additional capacity and potential for growth now, we'll have a lot more room in the future. Once we get one person trained in Hugh's job, not completely relying on Stathi, it will be like a whole new, like realm of operations for the company.
Can I ask a few questions?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Is the goal to find someone that's equivalent to Hugh? I mean, if he's managing them, it could be an hourly employee or part-time or something like that. I mean, right?
Yeah, I want someone that's almost like just short of capability as Hugh is, because I definitely want that person to handle the jobs on their own, like the
Do you have that
communications with
much
clients.
Do you have that much capacity though today?
Do you mean, do I have that much demand from customers? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Do you have the capacity to fill someone 100% right now?
Well, the yes, and the reason I say that is because what I see from Hugh is like he's redlining, like he's going full bore and is working, just up watching him log his hours, and it's just like he will not be able to sustain this pace. So like the number of jobs that we have coming in, which is effectively is 3 to 4 a month right now, he's pegged. So there's very much not room for reflection. There's not room for, like improvement. Like I'm forcing that and we're making it happen, but it should be, I suppose, a little painful in the beginning, but I'm just personally afraid that it's, he's going to get burnt out and the quality is going to drop
Yeah.
off. So I'm trying to get somebody in there to help him as fast as possible, but I don't want that person to be a turd. So I'm just,
Yeah.
yeah.
point.
It just,
Yeah.
my thought is there can be immediate relief by hiring someone that's competent, but like does it an hourly kind of
Yeah.
part-time
A helper.
until you fully have the full capacity. And then rather than taking the liability on, right? So like the company, you don't want to, well, it's however you want to do it. But the thought
No.
is like you
Tell
can
me.
kind
I
of
mean,
shift that
that's why we're
liability
doing this.
of like where it is and
Yeah.
who's holding it, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing I'd think about is Carson, like that role. Because our intention, and I don't know how it's been working, but our intention wasn't that role would happen every single on-site job. And maybe it's needed. I don't think it is though. I think Spencer's probably gonna be able to do majority of it on his own. So that could be a potential of like also hiring some part-time and using that somewhere else and kind of shifting where the funds are going. But
I see.
just some thoughts.
Those are good thoughts. That gives me something to think about too. I talked to Stathi about like a helper. He had somebody in the past
Mhm.
who he reached out to. I don't know if we can get that person again or not, but I'm sure I could find somebody that's,
Right.
reasonably competent for Carson's pay.
And just a quick question. Is there a reason why you don't want to just replicate Hugh, like from all perspectives in terms of pay, just like copy and paste?
I mean, you're saying as opposed to kind of my thought of like having Hugh sort of have a managerial role.
Right.
Well, for a couple of reasons. I feel like it helps mature the company a little bit if there's a little bit of chain of command in place. I'm certainly not trying to create a bureaucracy at all, but I know that, when two people work together closely, there's some overlap and some like kind of synergy there. So if those people are working on projects independent of each other, they're not gonna be able to achieve as much as they could if they worked as a team.
Mhm.
And because of the overlap of jobs, they're basically going to be working full time on everything.
That makes sense. So basically, you're saying is there's synergy in two people working together versus two parallel processes next to each other.
That's correct.
Okay.
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, there's, I've certainly thought about that, of just like not even having them really communicate and just totally having a full, but then especially for right now, I'm like, I just feel like it'll be so much harder to get a completely new person standalone. Like, there's like Hugh absolutely does not have time to try and like train somebody. So it's really just like an osmosis situation.
Was there any, okay. And just on that, yeah, that's fair. Let me ask you this real quick. Have you talked to Hugh at all about like, out of all the things that he does, where his energy lies?
Yes, we have had a few I did not word in that way, but we have definitely had a few conversations about, what he thought this role was and what he's actually doing, and where he's kind of like, I don't know if the word is annoyed or, where his energy lies, or where it doesn't lie is really what he was talking about. He definitely didn't expect the account management as much as he's doing, which is, so that we're all on the same page. He's sending emails to clients with information and updates. It kind of sounds like something I should do and could be doing. And the reason I have Hugh sending emails to clients directly is because he both has to get the information from, like, say, the city, and he has to spend time doing that. Then he has to analyze it, and then he has to ask for more. And then once he has this full like picture understanding of that information, he has to communicate it to somebody. And instead of taking the time to explain it to me, I just say, send it right to the client, like update the sheet, stick to the process. And then it's not a telephone game.
But he doesn't love that part.
I don't know if he loves it or not. He just wasn't expecting to do that in addition to just being like a data analyst when he signed on for this.
That makes sense.
So,
I think that's how the original idea was.
Yeah. But as we have grown that, it's kind of like, well, it doesn't make sense for you to tell me than me to tell somebody else, because I don't have this comprehensive understanding like you do. I mean, I could.
Yeah. And what would be the communication? Like what's the reason for the communication with the client?
Just to keep them updated and to, make sure that all their questions are answered, because they do have questions. And then we have like a couple meetings like throughout the process, like a kickoff meeting. And I think you've probably been a part of those before. And, I host the meeting, but then I'm not really the one delivering the information. I'm like keeping us to an agenda and like making sure the client is satisfied, but really I'm kind of observing and seeing how we can do it better next time.
Okay. And then, so I guess, what do you, I'm trying to think of like, what do you see your role now as mostly?
Same. Nothing has changed since the last conversation that we talked about with the 6 hats. I mean, I honestly don't even remember what we discussed.
Yeah, what they were. Okay. Well, I guess the energetic approach would be so like my thought is, or at least the way that I would handle it now, is that there is also some synergy around what kind of tasks you're doing and how your energy is going. So if I would look at, okay, out of everything that you do, how does your energy, like what is easy, what is like effortless, and then try to then find somebody and dissect who would take off things of use plate that, and the guess would be is that the capacity would really increase if he just did the stuff he really super loves to do. So I think that's probably how I would approach it at this point, and trying to find somebody to take off those things who would love that stuff. And we can maybe talk and see about, whether the genius zone concept or there's a way to overlap and learn from that to see what type of person would like that. But that's, at least in my business now, that's kind of what the more I've isolated people into things that they love to do, their capacity is like through the roof. So that would be probably the way that I would look at it. So I would really try to dive in with Hugh and be like, okay, if you look at your calendar even, and you look at it like, when are you like really excited and when is it, really a drag? And kind of play with that, because if you get that right, and there's alignment somewhat, maybe in the genius zone part, if that's any helpful at all to you, then that can give you insight to then scaling later, like how to scale the whole system where all the parts are feel easy to people. So, but I think that's probably how I would do it at this point.
Yeah, and on that, like, you could do it for everyone in the organization, and then just readjust what everyone's doing just based on what they love.
That's the original idea of the concept, to change those dials as you learn what the process really likes, and then kind of, say, okay, so this is what I'm doing in my company now, is basically write out everything that you do. And then just put an arrow, my energy up, flat, or down. And then we go in and we attack all the things that are down. So I just really put it on the whiteboard, and then we circle all the things that are down, and then we regroup them. And then when we look for the new person, we have exactly the deliverables they have to hit, and try to figure out, okay, who would be the person whose energy goes up, looking at those deliverables. And then the more we dial in and restructure that, in my experience, it's been like, it's just easy because people are doing stuff that to them is easy. But I used to have a lot of stories for why, like, it's not good or it shouldn't be or whatever. But ever since doing that in our, real estate business, it's really kind of dialed in things. Like, for example, my partner is a craftsman and they're really good at working at one thing at a time. But I had to work on like 5 different things, and it was really challenging. So once we switched that and we'll put her to the most valuable tasks, then she's just killing it. So, so I think that's what I would probably do at this point. And just do it with everybody, including yourself.
Yeah.
So, and then just last thing I'll say is, and then I think there's a story that I have, Justin, that, or at least I had that too, and I'm projecting on you that you might have that, is that there's always with that, there's maybe fear or scarcity of like the resources, as in like, but how do I afford it?
Yeah.
Which is cool, but I think like that's a separate conversation to have, because once the other thing gets figured out, I think the money, like we can find the money to do it. But anyway, I don't know if that's helpful at all, but
it is very helpful. No, it's a tactic to try for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what we presented originally, and that's what it really more dialing in within our internal group as well.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of just like, trying to write down everything you do, then put arrows on it, and you can literally see like, okay, this, and then kind of, I'm assuming, try and essentially write like a job description for those down arrows to, for somebody that would.
Yeah, it's literally a list of deliverables that you have.
Right.
And then we can even have and share some data that we might have that if you use the Genius Zone concept as like what type of person might be a good fit for that. So, and that's kind of the research that we're doing internally. So.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you just negotiate with them however you want to bring them on, hourly,
Right.
financially, whatever. So.
Okay. Do you guys feel like you're getting a decent sense of the work from the Asana updates, or is that a waste of time?
Are all those Asana updates just for us, or are you
Yeah,
guys?
I write them.
Internally?
No, I write them for you specifically.
Oh, you're talking about the Friday like project updates?
Yes, not the weekly wrap up. If you see that, that's for the team, but the Asana updates only, and specifically
The
from the
status
portfolio
update, right?
status update. Correct.
Yeah. That is not something that I need, or so I'm not looking at that. The only two things that really I look at, we did put a matter of quality there. I'm assuming everything so far gets signed up by Staffy in some way. So that
It
was just our
does.
one concern. And then there's a dollar amount just to make sure that, and it seems like, average price ticket and, has been where we kind of thought randomly it would. And then the number of jobs obviously is showing us that, yeah, you might be busy. But yeah, status updates aren't necessary for us. So if that's just for us, no need.
Okay. Yep. I will stop doing that.
See,
Definitely.
crossed off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is there anything else I can do to keep, if that you'd like to see in that same vein?
I would like to know. I'm more interested personally if I check in to see how you're doing. I'd love to hear about how your experience has been, and even more of your reflection on all parts of the business, what's been working with the people, where does your energy shift? Like, I'd love to know that.
Yeah. I'm trying not to take a victim mentality when I think about like the compensation structure, not even the miscommunication, just like I kind of like when I look at scaling and I look at marketing and I, like you said, a scarcity of resources, I start to get, I don't know if the word is agitated, but like a little bit apprehensive. I'm like, oh shit, like how am I going to do this with this tiny pot? Like Staffy wants all, this money for system architect. I'm like, and then by the way, still haven't even gotten a handle on the overhead because I don't have the, like finances all coming out of one spot because I don't have a credit card because of the company thing. Just
quick update. Sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt. Just real quick. We had a little delay in terms of the legal. We're knocking it out now. We'll let you know as soon as it's done. But that is close to being finished. Our apologies on that. Resume.
No worries.
Apologies.
Yep. So there's a little bit of that going on, just like kind of fear of scarcity of resources, and but this helps a little bit with the Genius Zone, like thinking about how to kind of shift people around. And like originally I was like I don't see a spot for Carson if he's not doing the recon assist, but that's not the point. The point is like, then if he's not doing every job, then I have that money to put towards somebody else. So I just kind of forget that. I can kind of play with it a little bit. So that helps. On the HR side, it's a little tiring to like carry everybody's shit all the time, if I'm being honest. That's, you're going to find that in any organization. It's like, and I encourage everybody to have a really like open discussion about how they're feeling constantly. So it's probably my own creation, but there's benefit there too.
Okay.
I haven't cracked the marketing like targeting yet. I mean, because I just truly haven't. Like, I'm scared to start really marketing because I just see everybody's like, I can see it in their face when we're talking in meetings. Everybody's just like, this looks disheveled, and they're. Sorry, just got a call.
Sorry.
Just had to decline it.
Mhm.
So but I mean, I'm fine. I'm doing great.
Okay.
And there's nothing. Yeah, this is. I feel like I'm working probably too much, honestly. Just like
Yeah.
4 to 8 every day. Acting schedule.
4 to 8, 4 in the
Like-
morning to 8 at night.
Yeah, I mean, I take breaks, but yes, I get up pretty early and go to bed pretty late. Just trying to get everything taken care of and make sure that I'm not dropping anything. And,
Okay.
I'm sure everybody else is on something similar when they're starting out, but.
Hmm.
So like sometimes I'll just be like, nope, today I'm walking away and I'm not doing anything, because I need to.
Yeah. Okay. So what I heard you
That's how I
say
feel.
is, no, this is great. Thank you for sharing. Is that there's some scarcity about like how am I gonna grow this with the financial structure that there is. And then I mean you're putting in a lot of time and you're creating this openness place where people can share how they feel, but then when they do share how they feel, sometimes it's hard to not to take on that and carry the weight of all that. Is that right?
That's true. That might be oversharing and maybe even overemphasizing that small point. I'm just
No, that's great.
just throwing stuff out that might be helpful for you guys. I don't know.
No, that's very helpful. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
I guess going back, with the question that popped into my head is that, is there a goal or like is there a goal that you're reverse engineering trying to get to at this point?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that roadmap truly is like my vision and design that I sent, I think last meeting, I emailed to you guys, where it's just like, I want to get to the point where we're doing 6 jobs a month regularly.
Mhm.
And as we talked about last time, without the, crazy volatile spikes of like, we have 6 jobs and we have none. So
Okay.
like, I'm trying to avoid that.
Okay.
So I want to get there, and then I'm gonna like once I get to that kind of like revenue figure, I feel like the company will be in a good spot to like really just reassess and play with stuff to have things running smoothly. And then I'll be able to truly only focus on whatever I want to focus on. Which
Okay.
I guess I need to do this genius question for myself too.
And
Yeah.
what is the difference? Why is it 6 jobs a month? Could you?
I mean, I just had to pick something, and I just felt like that was a good spot to be for the company. Let's just do. Yeah, and that's it. I mean,
Okay.
I just picked that out of the blue one day. It was just kind of.
Did the guys have any input on that?
No, not really. No, that's just my personal figure. And especially like, I mean, I know Spencer said he doesn't want to, right now specifically, but pre-Spectora, he definitely doesn't want to do more than 4 recons a month.
Okay.
Like, and Hugh can't right now.
Okay.
So 4 is definitely like our cap.
So
for
you
now.
guys are capped out at 4 and you want to go to 6.
Correct.
Does it tie to some personal compensation number for you, or why? I'm just trying to more nail down on, like, for me, one of the things that I've had is like, when the why gets bigger, how gets easier. And when I really get clear on the why, like, it all kind of makes sense. So sometimes I get weary when I talk to people and they're like, I want to make $1 million a year. And I'm like, why? Well, because it's a round number. And I'm like, maybe 900,000 would be just fine. Like, why?
Yeah.
So, any
Right.
thought, or like, was there anything behind, any math or any kind of feeling why 6 was the right thing?
You know, I did pick that very early on in this process, and I guess I was like, I picked it, so I'm sticking to it, and that's what we're doing. There might be some, some like stubborn, like, but there's certainly like, 4 is a plateau, and then it's going to be a significant jump to get to, like, to cross that threshold. But as soon as we do, it could very easily be 8 a month. Like I think it would. Like, as soon as you go
Right.
past 4, then it's the next plateau is 8. So
Yeah.
then if we get to 6, it's like with those extra people and in between that next level.
Mhm.
I'm not making sense at all, bro.
Well, I think what I hear you say is like at 4-year capacity, and then once you add some
Yeah.
more people, really going to 6 to 8 is the same thing, type of a thing. Is that what like
Yeah.
operational?
Yes. And then if we were at 8, it would be the same like high intensity tempo as if we were at 4. We just have more people running around with their
Right.
hair on fire.
That
So-
makes sense. Do you need? I mean, are you sustainable at 4 a month financially yourself? Is that
Like is Justin Gonzalez happy with 4 a month?
correct? Correct. Like not. I mean, like I wouldn't say happy, but like is taking care of his obligations, and is
Oh,
not
yeah.
stressed about money.
No, I'm not stressed about money at all. No, not even a little bit. I mean, I drive a very old car. Everything, I keep our expenses super low. Like I just,
Yeah.
I'm not a flashy person or anything. So,
Okay.
I'm good. But I obviously want to do better and go higher and do more.
Of course. I guess my question becomes is like, I so appreciate you wanting to, do higher, kind of do more and just maximize it, compensate, do hard things. And I
Yeah.
wonder, because to me is like when you go from 4 to 6, the complexity increases quite a bit, right? You're
Mhm,
adding
it
more
does.
people, you're doing all these things. So I wonder if it's worth, to get to 4 and maybe take a little time out in terms of the Genius Zone restructure, in terms of checking in with everybody, getting the software in place. That would be just my little concern. I've always tried to do it in the way of like compound interest, meaning I'm not going down. Like I'm going to get to a safe place and I'll bump up, safe place, bump up, but really not build something where this is possible.
Mm.
So, and that's what I guess the story I tell myself is a combination of many reasons, but the guys are kind of like, it's been intense
Yes.
type of thing. And I wonder if it's worth, spending some time and energy into decreasing intensity.
We would have to probably go to 2 a month to get to that place that you're painting a picture of.
Why?
I just like it because this is totally subjective, but just watching the guys, how they are adhering to the systems and how they're like processing their tasks and getting through the information at the pace they're currently at. And maybe it's not 2, maybe it's 3 a month, but we would have to step off of 4. 4 is, we can't stay here. This is the worst place to be.
Okay.
Why? This is like, because it's too fast to have any time to look at other areas for improvement.
Okay. For who specifically, Justin?
I honestly feel like it's for everyone too. I mean, yeah, me, everybody.
Okay.
I mean, Carson, like from the, like, I don't want to, from the bottom up, sorry to say that, but like, Carson's got a bunch of stuff going on and he's already said it like multiple times, like, I'm good for about 2 a month. He's still going on the trips, but he's kind of, and then, I mean, everybody's just like, it's all I hear all day long. It's just like, I got this, I have this, I have this.
Can you be at 3 a month and be okay financially, everybody?
I believe we can be okay financially at 3 a month. Yes.
Have you guys considered going to 3 and raising the price, if anything, or?
I also get a sense that we're about as high as we can be from the clients I've talked to. I know we've probably kicked away at 2 jobs on price. I don't know if they are our customer. I'm still learning, so it's kind of
Right. Or I wonder if you get to 3 and the 4th one, you have a urgency premium.
sure. Okay. I mean, I started talking about rush service with people. I agree. Yeah,
Right.
makes sense.
I guess my feeling is that well, do you think that the process will get better as people do it more, software goes in place, you kind of do the Genius Zone thing and maybe see how you do some of the tasks and all that stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it will improve slowly over time, but I'm just, I'm trying to think ahead. So I am in this conversation and on myself personally putting maybe undue pressure to try and get another person in there quicker than later so that we don't get to that drop off point from where we are right now. I'm trying to prevent that from happening. So if I get some relief,
In terms of number of jobs,
yes,
yeah,
and
well,
just
that's
burn out and
yeah. I think the thought was, even originally when we kind of our vision for the for the project is you get to do really things that are just easy, compensate well, and that kind of thing. And obviously there's going to be some reshuffling because our split of jobs was an estimate and everybody is different.
Sure.
But I wonder, just in this question, is like, what are you optimizing for? Are you optimizing for like growth for the sake of growth, or like quality of life type of a thing? Because I wonder if some of the people would be willing to make 75% of the money in, what feels like half of the effort.
I'm optimizing for quality of life. And the reason I'm doing that is because I know that they can do better work if they have less on their plate, but they want to make more money. So it's like they all cumulatively are like talking about like they're like, oh, I'm so busy, but I want to make money, so I'm continuing to work this hard. I'm like, okay, so that says to me, yeah, like we're either good, or how do I make their job a little bit, more comfortable to, so they can sustain this.
I think,
So,
yeah.
I mean,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Chris's point earlier about maybe hiring like an assistant as opposed to like a duplicate would be a better strategy for right now, just to get some, relief and bandwidth.
I feel like this might be a really good time where operationally you kind of time out and, look at everything, talk to the guys, kind of do the Genius Zone thing, looking at the calendar, how can we restructure things, so it feels easy. And then kind of figure out how we can structure that financially and how to make it scalable. Because honestly, otherwise to me, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's sustainable or how long before it's going to be sustainable for everybody, especially for you, buddy, with your working hours.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. That is my main concern right now, is just, making sure that we can continue this pace, or a pace similar to this one in a different way.
Yeah. So that might be, if you, I guess, you got anything to say, Chris? Okay. Did Staffy give you a timeline for when he's going to be done with the software?
I believe he's done now. I mean, I'm pretty sure I think he's
okay.
He's either done now or, yeah. I mean, I get the sense that we're just doing the final tweaks on like some of the emails and stuff like that. He's starting to send things out to us for like review. So he's 90% probably, I'm guessing.
So what I hear is, and the main point, I think, what I hear is that if you knew there's going to be an assurance of getting 3 jobs a month and you would not have a drop off, you would feel comfortable kind of maybe staying at that pace and reworking operationally how you guys do things. But the fear is that if you let off, you might drop, and then financially, it's not going to be there. Is that right or no?
I can't. So like, it's kind of right. That captures a lot of it, but for me, it's more like I don't want to drop off at all or let off even a little bit. I want to push through this little friction zone just a little bit harder to get to that, like where we can have a little bit more revenue, a little bit more jobs and demand to get that helper. And
Okay.
then that will allow us to stay at that level, which we're currently at, essentially,
So maybe you can
with
be
relief.
like if you do the Genius Zone thing, you took everything off everybody's plate, hired one person, gave it to them, and we're at 6 jobs a month or something, or whatever it might be, give Carson a little bit more work. It might be a sweet spot. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Go, Chris.
I wanted to ask, I mean, it feels that it's maybe this fear is a little premature if we don't have the operating system fully baked.
That's correct. 100%. Yep.
So I mean, I think I understand you're trying to get ahead of it, which I do the same thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think to Tim's point, if you just hit the brakes and see how that plays out, that might solve the problem in itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I agree. No, I agree. There is a possibility that as they improve on their own, just from reps,
Right.
will then be okay right where we are. That's totally true. I mean, absolutely.
And then I guess my thought was, that reminds me, Chris, like on the original of the business, that's why we put that systems architect there, because I would have somebody go and oversee how the whole thing is happening and trying to figure out how can you automate it, how do you minimize it, how do you, and effectively like say no to a bunch of things to clients. Like you're going to have automatic emails for this process, but we're not going to have 14 phone calls in between or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Stuffy is that person, or you might need somebody who can come in and operationally take a look at it or not.
Interesting.
I'm saying, like, especially if you're staying at 4 jobs, the guys are so in the weeds that they don't have time to like look up. Then somebody with that type of brain could be looking at it and saying, okay, well, we're gonna automate everything.
Yeah. I hear you. I've definitely been trying to be that guy to like stand back, let them do the work, and I'm like looking at where to make improvements, but I might also be falling into the trap.
Well, that activity, what is that for you energetically?
I like doing that. I mean, that's what I feel like the role it should be and is, is not looking down, but looking out and making sure everything's like what's the biggest, what's the lowest hanging fruit? Okay, knock that down. All right, then look forward for a little bit, make sure that we're not going to run into a mountain.
Yeah. So, we've talked about this internally, like what kind of metric to have. One of the things came up is this like time spent in Genius Zone, just like to measure rationally, like out of all the time, how much do you spend that feels easy? And kind of then try to crank things to optimize for that. I wonder if that's what the guys might appreciate at this point.
Yeah.
And you yourself, before you crank up the sales. And that might give you some of the insight into who to bring on next.
Right. Have you guys ever heard of the Wonderlic test? The one score? Yeah, have. So I
will Google that right now.
Yeah, short version is it's like another personality test, one of the thousands that exist out there. Sure. But it's specifically catered to hiring. Like you administer it to people, and then they, they come back with there's like 3 main factors that they test for to prove if somebody is a good candidate for a certain role.
Yeah.
I was talking to those people trying to talk to those people that never got back to me, but I was going to administer the test to who we have in the team now. Specifically, Hugh is my main focus to like see where he lives on their metrics,
Mhm.
and then send that test to any candidates or applicants that come in, and
make
try
sure
and
it's
find
right.
like a fit in that. That was my
Yeah.
strategy, just so you know, for like
Yeah.
an
No,
onboarding.
I think that's great. The way we did it, yeah, the way we did it is we basically had everybody put all the deliverables on the whiteboard. And then we put up, one of the errors in terms of energy. And then we scored everybody from 1 to 10 on how good they are at that. So, and then we kind of said, okay, well, these things you're not good at, these things, and kind of tried it from there. But anyway, however you want to do it, I think that's a great idea. And I guess that would be my feedback before, bringing somebody on. I wonder if you can restructure existing roles. And we would love to learn more about what the guys said. I would love to see the results of what they say. Hey, actually, we need this help, and I'm not interested in this, and that kind of thing. I hope that's helpful. I know it's not.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try and make like a thing that says like, what are you doing? First of all,
Mhm.
like that's the hard question. I mean, identifying it might be a challenge unto itself, but what are
Yeah.
you doing and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, maybe all the deliverables, like what are all the things that have to get done for you to have the job right, and then just do this analysis. So, and then some of them, and then basically the question becomes is outsource, get a new person, or just say no to.
Yeah.
A lot of things you can say no to. So, okay. Were there any other things or any ways that we could support, any other feelings, any other withholds you want to express?
No, I'm good. I feel good. I mean, this is, we're making tons of progress. We get better every day. These are minor complaints, if any, if you even want to call them complaints, but just I'm trying to share with you like my brain, and like it's totally subjective. The word is feeling, I don't, I don't know how else to do it. So
Yeah,
I
no,
feel
and
it's
I do want to say, honestly, like the most my energy goes up and the most I learn is when you are being vulnerable, how you feel and what's going on in the process. And I've figured out that for me, that this 80% of this finding the actual solution is kind of diving into that more. So I greatly appreciate that. I think that's exactly what these calls are for. You know what I'm saying? So, or
Yeah.
at least for me, and then anything else that you need. Okay. And then, yeah, that's that. So our deliverable to you is to get the operating agreement done, get all this done. And that's the only thing outstanding from us.
Yep.
Is there any other support or anything else that you need?
I really don't think so. I mean, things I got to work through as I create the time for them.
Okay.
Take this advice, on board and look at it and see where I can make changes.
Okay. I'll share the energy piece if there's anything that I have on that. Any of those resources, with the guys. So I'll share it for you to use with the guys. But other than that, I do want to. We got 5 minutes, so I do want to finish with a before Chris sums anything up that he has, just with some appreciations, if you don't mind. You got anything, Chris? Any thoughts or anything else?
No, I appreciate you, the vulnerability,
lost you
in
guys
the
again.
conversation, and like just honesty and transparency, and then the willingness to like kind of listen and kind of rethink things. So I appreciate that.
Yep. Are you there, Justin?
I don't know what's going on. What is happening?
You should catch it back up. There we go. You there?
Yep.
Good.
Sorry, I just lost you guys for like a good 2 minutes.
Yeah. No, and hey, I super, I super appreciate kind of the attitude that you have towards the mission, and you're like, there's the mission, this is what I'm going for, like no matter what, I'm going to get this done. I think that's incredible level of ownership, and it's rare in our time, so I think that's beautiful to see. And at the same time, your openness to being like, let me look at more of these soft things, and this is about the people first and about the team first and what is the best for them, and it's not even like not necessarily what's best for me is best for them, and can we find like a solution for everybody where the lifestyle is really healthy. And I totally feel the fear, and I have the same thing of, are the people going to be okay, is there enough resources and that kind of thing. I'm totally with that. So thank you so much for transparency and being super honest. I'll send you some things, and if it's helpful, I would love to hear how those conversations go. If you could update us, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
We can brainstorm further.
Yeah, I can do that.
Good. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Justin.
Thank you guys. Great talking to you.
Talk soon.
All right.